Listen, my friend, too many people are caught in the trap of saying yes to everything they say is out of fear. Fear of missing out. Okay? Fear of disappointing others. But what I want you to understand today is this saying yes all the time is silently stealing your power. You see, when you say yes to everyone and everything, you're actually saying no to yourself, to your dreams, to your growth, to your unstoppable potential. Real strength begins when you learn to say no. It's not easy. No one likes to disappoint others. But boundaries are not walls, they're bridges to your freedom. When you protect your time, you protect your ability to succeed. You know, what's your kid? One of the most powerful lessons you can learn on your journey to success is understanding the real strength behind saying no. It's strange, isn't it? Because from a young age, most of us are taught to be agreeable, to say yes as much as possible. Be polite, be helpful. So if you want your kid, be the person everyone can count on. But here's the truth. Being agreeable all the time, always saying yes, it doesn't make you strong. In fact, it often does the opposite. It drains you. It scatters your energy. It pulls you away from your own path. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine a glass filled with water. This glass represents your energy, your time, your life force. Every time you say yes to something and dictating what your kid, it's like pouring a little bit of that water out for someone else's purpose. Maybe it's a favor you didn't really want to do. But dictating what your kid, maybe it's a project, isn't aligned with your goals, but you said yes because you didn't want to upset anyone. Maybe it's a meeting that you feel obligated to attend even though you know it won't move you forward. Now, what happens when you say yes too many times? The glass empties. You're left drained. No water left for yourself. No energy left for the things that matter most to you. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Sarah. Sarah was a bright, talented marketing professional. She had big dreams. She wanted to launch her own consulting business someday, build a brand that made a difference. But here's the thing. She said yes to every request at work. Can you cover this project? Yes. Can you stay late to help with this? Yes. Can you take on another client call? Yes, always yes. At first, it seemed like a badge of honor, the go-to person, the dependable one. But over time, Sarah found herself exhausted. Her own dreams felt further away than ever. What's your key? She was so busy fulfilling other people's needs that she had no time or energy to work on her consulting business. Dear kid, she was stuck in the trap of always being available. Then one day, Sarah's mentor pulled her aside and said something that changed everything. Sarah, listen, if you don't learn to say no, you'll never be able to say yes to what truly matters. That hit her hard. So, Sarah began practicing boundaries. She started small, saying no to one request a week that wasn't aligned with her goals. It was hard. She felt guilty. She worried about disappointing others. But the more she said no, the more energy she regained. She started dedicating that time to building her consulting business, learning new skills, and investing in herself. Within 6 months, Sarah landed her first big client and her career began to shift. She realized that saying no wasn't rejection. It was protection. Protection of her energy, her dreams, her future. And that protection, that boundary became her source of power. You see, when you're dictating what's your kid, boundaries are not walls to shut people out. They're bridges that connect to your true potential. When you say no to what doesn't serve you, you say yes to your purpose. But why is it so hard to say no? Why do we struggle with the simple word? Part of it is fear. Fear of missing out. Then fear of disappointing others. Fear of being seen as selfish or rude. But let me ask you, who really pays the price for that fear? Is it the people you say yes to? Or is it you? Every time you sacrifice your time and energy for something that doesn't matter to you, who loses? You do. Imagine a young man named Marcus. Marcus was an aspiring author. He had a burning desire to write a novel that would inspire millions. But Marcus was constantly caught up in other people's demands, helping with their problems, volunteering for every event, saying yes to every social invitation. His writing took a back seat. He told himself, I'll get to it later. But later never came. One day, Marcus realized that if he kept living this way, he would never fulfill his dream. So, he made a radical choice. What's your kid? He started saying no. No to social invitations. No to requests that drained him. No to distractions. He carved out time every day to write. At first, his friends were surprised. Some even questioned him. Why are you saying no so much? They asked. But Marcus didn't waver. He understood something crucial. When you honor your own boundaries, you set a standard for how others treat you. You teach the world to respect your time and your dreams. Marcus finished his novel, and it became a bestseller. The power wasn't in his writing alone. It was in his ability to say no and protect his creative energy. So, here's what I want you to take away from this. Saying no is not weakness. It is strength. It is courage. It is the foundation upon which your unstoppable life is built. It's like a garden. If you try to plant seeds everywhere with no care or focus, nothing grows strong. But if you choose your plot carefully, tend to it with love and attention, and weed out the distractions, you'll harvest a bountiful crop. So, when you start setting boundaries, you begin to control your narrative. You choose what to give your time and energy to. You become intentional with your life. Now, this doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. It means you become wise. You become the captain of your ship. You navigate through the storm with a clear purpose. You don't let every wave toss you around. And it's not always easy. Saying no often feels uncomfortable at first. You might fear the pushback or the guilt. But remember, discomfort is the price of growth. Every successful person has learned to say no. Every leader, every pioneer. Every champion understands that boundaries are their secret weapon. Think about it. How many times have you heard stories of people who got distracted by endless obligations and never reached their potential? Or on the flip side, yourself. Those who said no to distractions, no to unnecessary requests, and said yes to their purpose, and ended up changing the world. This is your invitation to step into that power, to learn the art of saying no, to protect your energy and your dreams, to become unstoppable. Because here's the truth, your greatness depends on what you say no to, not just what you say yes to. And the more you practice this, the easier it gets. It becomes natural. It becomes a part of who you are. So ask yourself today, what am I saying yes to that's holding me back? What do I need to say no to to protect my energy, my dreams, my future? Remember, boundaries don't limit you. They liberate you. They give you the power to focus, to grow, to succeed, And that power, my friend, is unstoppable. Time is your most precious resource. It's the one thing no one can give you more of. When you say yes to every request, every distraction, you drain your energy. You become tired, overwhelmed, and stuck. But when you say no wisely, you guard your energy. You invest it in what truly matters. Your time, it's the one thing you can't get back. You can make more money, you can make new friends, but you can never make more time. Once it's gone, it's gone. So why do we give it away so freely, like it's endless? That's the challenge. Most people don't realize how precious their time and energy really are until they're completely drained, burnt out, overwhelmed. And wondering where all their days disappeared. Think about your average day. You wake up with a list of things you want to accomplish, goals, dreams, tasks, but by the time the sun sets, you find yourself exhausted, and the things that mattered most didn't get your full attention. Why? Because you said yes to things that pulled you in a dozen directions, scattered your focus and drained your energy. You answered every call, replied to every message, agreed to every favor, and suddenly you're running on empty. There was a man. His name was James. James had big ambitions, but he struggled with saying no. Every time someone asked for help, whether it was at work, with friends or family, he would jump in without hesitation. I don't want to let anyone down, he said. But after months, James realized he wasn't showing up for himself. He was exhausted, frustrated, and felt stuck. One day, a close friend asked James a simple question. What's your priority right now? James paused. I want to start my own business, he admitted quietly. His friend nodded and said, then maybe it's time to protect your time fiercely. That stuck with James. He started to become more aware, more intentional about where his energy went. Instead of saying yes to everything, he began saying no, politely, firmly, but clearly. The result, He had more time to focus on his business, more energy to pour into his dreams. And slowly but surely, things began to change. Here's the thing. Your energy follows your focus. If you scatter it everywhere, you get scattered results. If you protect it, guard it yourself, and focus it on what truly matters, you become a force to be reckoned with. Imagine your day as a bank account. Every minute you spend is like making a withdrawal. If you keep withdrawing without any deposits, your balance runs dry. But what if you made intentional deposits? What if you said no to distractions and yes to rest, to creativity, to the work that moves you forward? Your balance grows. You feel alive. You feel unstoppable. There's a story of a woman named Lisa who learned this the hard way. She was a single mother, working 2 jobs, trying to provide for her kids, and chasing a degree at night. She was stretched thin, constantly tired. Lisa used to say yes to every extra shift at work, every school event, every favor. She thought she had to do it all for everyone. But eventually she realized something had to give. One evening after a long day, Lisa sat down and made a list. What are my priorities? She asked herself. Family, school, health. That's what mattered most. Then she looked at all the things she'd been saying yes to herself and realized many weren't aligned with those priorities. So she started setting boundaries. She stopped taking extra shifts that ate into her study time. She asked for help when she needed it. She made time to rest. The change was remarkable. Not only did Lisa feel more energized, but her grades improved, her relationships deepened, and she was closer to achieving her goals. Her secret: she protected her time and energy like a treasure, because it was. You have to remember, time is a non-renewable resource. Once it's spent, you can't get it back. Energy is tied to time. When your time is wasted, your energy is drained. When your energy is drained, your passion and motivation disappear. What do you spend your time on? What are the things that drain you instead of energizing you? It's easy to get caught up in the hustle, the always-on culture, yourself, the pressure to say yes and be available. But if you want to be unstoppable, you have to get serious about how you use your time and energy. It's not about being selfish. It's about being smart. It's about realizing that by protecting your time, you're protecting your future. Saying no isn't about shutting people out. It's about creating space to say yes to what matters most. Here's a practical way to think about it. So when someone asks you for your time, pause. Don't rush into a yes. Ask yourself, is this aligned with my goals? Does this serve my purpose? Will this help me grow? If the answer is no, say no. If it's yes, then give it your full attention. You don't owe everyone your time. You owe it to yourself first, because if you don't protect your time, no one else will. Imagine the impact of focusing your energy on your dreams. How much progress could you make if you spent fewer hours on distractions and more hours on purpose-driven work? How much joy would come from feeling energized instead of drained? You deserve that. You deserve to feel alive, motivated, and unstoppable. But it starts with protecting your time. Fiercely, intentionally, without apology. Focus. It's a word we hear all the time. Stay focused. Focus on your goals. But what does it really mean, How do you actually focus in a world that is constantly pulling at your attention from every direction? Notifications, emails, meetings, social events, such endless distractions. It feels like you're being tugged in 1,000 directions at once. So how do you cut through the noise? How do you find that clarity, that sharpness of purpose that lets you say yes to what matters and no to everything else? Here's the thing, focus is not just about willpower or discipline. It's about choice. It's about learning to say no to the little things, so you can say a big, powerful yes to your dreams. Think of your focus like a spotlight. It can either be wide and scattered, illuminating everything but nothing clearly. Or it can be narrow and intense, shining bright on exactly where you want to go. Which one do you want? Let me share a story. There was a man named David. David had a vision. He wanted to build a tech startup that changed how people connected online. But his days were a mess. He was constantly jumping from one task to another, answering emails, attending meetings that went nowhere, taking on side projects that didn't align with his mission. He was busy, but not productive. At the end of the day, David felt exhausted and frustrated because his big vision seemed farther away than ever. Then David made a decision. He started saying no. No to meetings that didn't have clear purpose. No to side projects that distracted him. Yourself. No to social events that drained his energy. He carved out focused blocks of time where he worked only on his startup. No phone, no interruptions, no multitasking. Slowly, his progress accelerated. The clarity of his focus helped him solve problems faster, make smarter decisions, and move his business forward. Why does saying no to distractions make such a difference? Because every time you say yes to something small that doesn't serve your goals, you take time and energy away from what truly matters. It's like trying to pour water into a glass that's already full. It spills over, wasted and lost. Focus demands intentionality. It demands clarity about what your priorities are. It means knowing your why. So that distractions simply fall away. You start to see what's important and what's noise. I want you to think about your own life for a moment. What are the things pulling your attention away from your goals? What commitments, habits, or distractions are cluttering your mental space? Is it scrolling endlessly on social media? Is it saying yes to too many requests? Is it multitasking, trying to do everything at once, but ending up doing nothing well? Focus isn't about doing more. It's about doing less better. It's about cutting out the unnecessary so you can put your full energy into what moves you closer to your dreams. There was a woman named Emma. Emma was a talented artist, but she found herself overwhelmed by opportunities. People asked her to paint for events, collaborate on projects, teach classes, all things she enjoyed, but none aligned with her dream of opening a gallery to showcase her work. Emma felt stretched thin, and her progress toward her dream slowed. Then Emma made a choice. She started saying no to everything that didn't directly support her goal of opening her gallery. She declined offers politely but firmly. She focused her energy on creating new pieces and building relationships with gallery owners. Over time, Emma's focus paid off. Her work was featured in exhibitions, and she finally opened her gallery. Focus gave Emma clarity, energy, and momentum. It gave her a clear path through the chaos. Here's the challenge. Focus is hard because it requires sacrifice. Saying no to good things can feel like loss. You might wonder, what if I miss out? What if saying no means disappointing someone? What if I lose opportunities? Those fears are real. But here's the truth. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve your purpose, you say yes to something bigger. Focus creates space for creativity, growth, and breakthrough. When your attention is undivided, your mind can work deeply, and your efforts compound. You become unstoppable. But there's a secret to focus that many overlook. It's not just about saying no to distractions. It's about saying yes to yourself. Yes to your vision. Yes to your potential. Yes to your future. Focus means honoring your dreams by protecting your time and attention. It means treating your goals like a sacred commitment. It means understanding that your energy is limited. So you must choose carefully where you invest it. Think about your day again. What if you carved out a block of time, just 1 hour, where you shut off everything else and gave your full attention to your most important task? What could happen? How far could you move forward if you did that every day? Focus is a muscle. It gets stronger the more you use it. The more you practice saying no to distractions, the easier it becomes to say yes to your purpose. There's also power in clarity. When you know exactly what you want, focus becomes natural. When your goals are vague or scattered, your attention scatters too. But when your vision is clear and vivid, focus flows effortlessly. Focus transforms chaos into order. It turns overwhelm into progress. It turns dreams into reality. So, what's pulling your attention away right now? What's cluttering your mind? What distractions can you say no to? So you can say yes to your dreams. Your ability to focus will determine your ability to succeed. It's the gateway to unstoppable momentum. Focus isn't just a skill. It's a lifestyle. A commitment to living with purpose, clarity, and intention. It's choosing your path and walking it with unwavering dedication. Imagine the power of saying no to distractions and yes to your highest calling. Every single day. How would your life change? How would your energy shift? How would your results transform? This is the difference between being busy and being productive, between drifting and driving, between surviving and thriving. Focus is your superpower. It's the key to unlocking your potential. When you choose focus, you choose progress, you choose growth, you choose becoming unstoppable. And that choice is yours to make moment by moment. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you build confidence. You tell yourself, here I am worthy of respect, I am in control, and that confidence, it fuels your journey to becoming unstoppable. You ever notice how some people seem to have an almost magnetic pull? Like no matter what they do, they keep moving forward, breaking through barriers, creating momentum, unstoppable. What's their secret? It's not luck, it's not magic, it's momentum. And once you understand how momentum works, you realize it's one of the most powerful forces you can harness in your life. Momentum is like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it's small, just a tiny ball of snow. But as it rolls, it picks up more snow, more speed, more energy. It grows bigger, faster, stronger. Suddenly, what started as a small push turns into an unstoppable force. But here's the catch. Momentum doesn't happen by accident. It's not something that just shows up out of nowhere. You have to create it. Yourself, you have to start moving, no matter how small the step, and keep moving. Because once you get going, momentum takes over. Let me tell you about a man named Carlos. Carlos wanted to get in shape. He had been stuck in the same routine for years, telling himself, tomorrow I'll start. But tomorrow never came. One day, Carlos decided to lace up his sneakers and walk around the block. Just one block. It was hard. His legs ached. He wanted to quit. But he kept going. The next day, Carlos walked 2 blocks. The day after that, 3. That small, consistent action built momentum. Soon he was jogging, then running. Months later, Carlos ran his first 5K race. What made the difference? Momentum. That tiny first step taken with commitment set off a chain reaction. Momentum creates energy. Energy that propels you forward, even when things get tough. It creates belief. Belief that you can keep going, that progress is possible yourself. And it builds confidence. Confidence that your efforts are paying off. But momentum can also work against you. If you stay stuck, if you don't start, or if you quit too soon, you lose it. That snowball melts away before it ever gains size. That's why starting is often the hardest part. Think about a young woman named Mia. Mia dreamed of writing a book, but she was overwhelmed. Where to begin? She thought she needed the perfect plan, the perfect time, the perfect mood. So she waited. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The momentum she could have built slipped through her fingers. One day, a friend told Mia, just write 1 sentence a day. It seemed so simple, but it was powerful. That 1 sentence became 2, then a paragraph, then a page. Momentum started to build. Mia found her rhythm. Her book started to take shape. Momentum doesn't demand perfection. It demands action. Small steps, taken consistently, create unstoppable progress. Now you might wonder, how do you build momentum when life gets in the way? When distractions, doubts, and setbacks try to pull you back? The answer is persistence. Keep moving, keep pushing. Celebrate small wins. Because each win, no matter how small momentum, there's power in progress. In the forward motion of doing something every day, even when it's hard. Even when you don't feel like it. That's how momentum grows. One action, one day at a time. Imagine you're trying to learn a new skill, like playing guitar. You pick up the guitar once and struggle with the chords. You think, maybe this isn't for me. But if you keep practicing even just 10 minutes a day, your fingers learn the strings, your brain learns the patterns, your confidence grows. That's momentum. Momentum also helps you overcome fear. When you're moving forward, fear loses its grip, because the act of doing, the progress you make, shows you that you are capable. That you are stronger than your doubts. And momentum creates a cycle. The more you do, the more you want to do. The more you achieve, the more you believe you can achieve. It feeds itself. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But momentum isn't about reckless speed or rushing through things. It's about consistent, deliberate action. It's about showing up every day and doing what you can, where you are, with what you have. It's about building trust with yourself. Trust that you will keep going no matter what. I want you to picture this. A runner at the starting line. The gun goes off. The first step is critical. It's the step that breaks inertia. That creates momentum. After that, it's easier to keep running. Each step builds on the last, propelling the runner forward. That's the same in your life. The first step is always the hardest. But once you take it, momentum kicks in, the energy builds, the path becomes clearer. Think about your own goals. What small step can you take today? One action that moves you forward. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be done. Because momentum starts with motion. Some of the hardest part is forgiving yourself for not starting sooner, for doubting yourself, for feeling stuck. But the beauty of momentum is it's always waiting for you to jump back in. No matter how many times you've stopped yourself, you can always start again. Momentum is also about mindset, believing that progress is possible, trusting that your efforts matter. When you carry that belief, you become a magnet for success. And here's the thing, momentum is contagious. When others see you moving forward, they want to join you. They want to support you. They want to be part of your journey. Your momentum inspires theirs. But momentum can only grow when you're consistent. It's the daily habits, the small wins, the repeated actions that build that unstoppable force. Remember, momentum is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about showing up again and again. Putting one foot in front of the other no matter what. Momentum turns dreams into plans and plans into reality. It takes you from I wish to I will. From thinking about change to living change. It's your secret weapon, your hidden power. Your path to becoming unstoppable. So, what's your first step? What small action will you take today to build momentum? You must understand this. You are not responsible for how others react to your boundaries. When you say no, it's not rejection. It's self-love. It's self-respect. And it's necessary if you want to grow and become the best version of yourself. We live in a world that loves to say busy is the same as productive. But here's a question. Does being busy actually mean you're moving closer to your goals, yourself? Or are you just spinning your wheels, caught in a constant whirl of activity that leaves you exhausted and overwhelmed? It's a trap many fall into, confusing motion for progress. But the truth is, being productive isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things, the things that push the needle, the things that align with your bigger vision. Imagine a man named Ryan. Ryan was busy from dawn till dusk. Meetings back to back. Calls, emails, errands. His calendar was packed and his phone never stopped buzzing. On paper, Ryan looked like a powerhouse, someone crushing it. But deep down, he felt stuck. His big dreams of launching his own business kept slipping away because all his time was swallowed by urgent but unimportant tasks. Ryan was caught in the busy trap. Activity without progress. Here's the hard truth: business can be the enemy of success. It can be a way to avoid the real work, the focused, intentional effort that moves you forward. You might fill your days with tasks that feel important, answering emails, attending meetings, scrolling through social media. But do those tasks serve your goals? Or do they just fill time? There was a woman named Sarah who faced this challenge. Sarah was a creative with big ideas and a burning desire to build her brand. But her days were filled with distractions. Replying to messages, managing minor details, trying to please everyone around her. She felt overwhelmed and tired. One day she realized she needed to change. She needed to stop being busy and start being productive. Sarah made a list of her goals and priorities. Then she started cutting out the non-essential. She said no to meetings that didn't serve her purpose. She delegated tasks that didn't require her attention. She set boundaries around her time and protected her creative hours fiercely. The result, Sarah found space to focus. Her ideas flowed, her work quality improved, and her progress accelerated. She was no longer just busy, she was productive. Productivity demands clarity. You have to know what matters most. What are the tasks that will move you closer to your vision? What are the actions that create momentum? When you focus on those, everything else becomes noise. Let me ask you, how often do you find yourself doing things just because they're urgent, not important? How often do you feel busy but unfulfilled? How often do you look back at the end of the day wondering, did I actually move forward? Being busy can be a comfort zone. It keeps you occupied. It keeps you from facing the hard questions. It keeps you from doing the deep work. But productivity requires courage. Courage to say no, courage to set boundaries, courage to focus. There's also power in simplicity. Productivity isn't about cramming more into your day. It's about simplifying self. It's about stripping away the unnecessary so you can pour your energy into what truly matters. Think about your most productive days. What's different about them? Chances are they're days when you had fewer distractions, clearer priorities, and more focus. And here's another truth. Productivity is about quality, not quantity. It's about doing your best work, not doing more work. It's about making meaningful progress, not just ticking boxes. Imagine a student studying for an exam. The student who studies with focus and intention for 2 hours will learn more than the student who mindlessly studies for 6 hours with distractions. Self, quality over quantity. You deserve to be productive, not just busy. You deserve to feel the satisfaction of progress, the excitement of moving closer to your dreams. But productivity also requires rest. Yes, rest. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you're exhausted, your work quality suffers. Your creativity fades. Your motivation dips. Rest is part of productivity. It recharges you. It renews your focus. It fuels your momentum. So, what's your strategy? How do you decide what to focus on? How do you protect your time from distractions? How do you build habits that support your goals? Here's a simple approach. Start your day by identifying the 1 or 2 most important tasks. The tasks that, if completed, will make you feel accomplished. Then, guard those tasks with everything you've got. Turn off notifications. Close your door. Let people know you're in focus mode. When you do that consistently, you train your mind to prioritize what matters. You build a rhythm of productivity. You create progress that feels good. Remember, productivity isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up and doing the work, even when it's hard, even when it's not perfect. Imagine how your life would change if you spent less time busy and more time productive. How would your energy shift? How would your results improve? How would your confidence grow? The choice is yours. Stay stuck in the busy trap or step into the power of productivity. Because being productive means becoming unstoppable.